This year has been an exciting mix of travels and time in the canyon. An unexpected theme often emerges through each travel. New ideas, insights, or a refreshing way of looking at the world. These lessons are powerful enough to impact my life and possibly alter my future. I have no idea what those lessons are going to be before we travel, so when we go on the road, I really don't have a way to prepare for the kind of changes that might happen upon our return. When I left our home in Topanga last month to spend 3 weeks in Japan, I said goodbye to the version of myself to welcome the inevitable changes I knew would flood during and after the trip. I hold so many moments on the road dear to my heart. When I drafted this story, I finished spending the first 2 weeks of our time in Japan in Yakushima, Tokyo, and a few other places in between. The time during the travel always has a way to warp differently than at home. In one way, our 2 weeks felt like we had been on the road forever, leaving the impression of this longest 2 weeks in our lives. Yet each night I went to sleep thinking how quickly the day had flown by. Even the concept of time, which we consider pretty fixed, transforms and stretches into this unknown element. While we were staying in Yakushima, I was doing one of these three things, either working with BK, adventuring with kids and Frito, or sitting still to soak up the mystery of natural world. The nature on this remote island, Yakushima, was so powerful that I felt that I could find all the answers to my pondering questions. On one of those nights, I was sitting outside by myself, looking out to the ocean. The full moon was near, and the storm was approaching the island, so heavy clouds with pouring rain moved in and out very quickly throughout the day and night. One moment I saw a patch of shimmering waves lit by the nearly full moon, only to find myself in a pitch dark with a cloud above. The world I was sitting in was changing so rapidly, and I wondered how being a fish in this ocean water would feel like under these changing light conditions. This moment happened shortly after Frito and I discussed our weekly rhythms for a new school year starting once we returned home. We homeschool as a family, so creating some structure in our schedule is necessary and essential to function as a unit. But when I witnessed this ever-changing ocean, I just couldn't hold myself from asking this question. Are humans the only animals who force-fit such a rigid framework with the nature of time? All animals and plants experience seasonal shifts and rhythms of day in relation to the sun, the moon, and the universe. But also imagine them having this flexibility to adapt to the micro changes accordingly, instead of having such limited expectation of what each moment should look and feel like. And I thought to myself, how strange we humans are. Another beautiful element of this trip in Japan was the gift of encounters. The Japanese word deai loosely translates to English as a chance encounter. When I recall everyone I met during our stay in Japan, some of them are planned and some of them spontaneous. The memories of everyone's face gives me a smile. I shared so many life stories and also had an opportunity to listen to everyone's stories that were told and shared with their hearts, and sometimes very unexpectedly. Each story had a meaning and inspired me so deeply in its unique way. After finishing our very last business meeting in Tokyo, I told Frito that these encounters are everything in life. So many incredible lessons are embedded in each meeting if I can give myself a proper space and time to reflect and appreciate. And when I consider any meeting I participate, in my life this way. There's no such a thing as a chance encounter. Each meeting is a gift rather than an accident, a checklist, or sometimes we think of it as a chore. Instead, I simply need to show up, need to be awake, enough to receive the gift when it's presented to me. Journey to be true journey, I realize that I can't force on an efficiency. It's not about the most convenient way to get from point A to point B, but having curiosity to sit through open-ended time and welcoming serendipitous thoughts, and occasionally being okay to get lost. Perhaps because the act of traveling somewhere instead of staying at home is fundamentally an inefficient act to begin with, travel turns into a memorable journey rather than everyday repetition at home. Now that our family is entering a brand new season to stay much closer to home, I want to intentionally give myself way more permission to be incredibly inefficient in life whenever possible. I want to find a way to relate to time differently, and I want to be able to listen to my intuition as well as whispers from the world with a sense of wonder, and have time and space to internalize and synthesize all of these inputs and have a chance to imagine what could it be. And I want to be fully present while doing so. I don't really know if the version of me who was packing and preparing for this Japan trip a month ago was quite ready for such an inefficiency in life. But here we are. And I am so grateful for the beauty of here and now.